My friends, the Nintendo Switch 2 has now been with us for approximately 6 months. We've had a half a year with this little thing, so I wanted to drop in here real quick and give my thoughts on the experience so far. I kind of wanted to make this into a bigger video, but it's December and I'm very busy, and Nintendo released like 1,000 games over the last couple of months, so I figured better topic Arlo than never. Casual is better than non-existent. That's my motto. So let's talk about my first 6 months with the Nintendo Switch 2. And just to get it out of the way, obviously the overall experience, the greater Nintendo enjoying experience has not been what I anticipated. I'm not going to go into my opinions of the whole thing right now, but like, no, it still stinks. You know, I did that video when the thing first came out, just talking about how, yeah, all the pricing stuff and the tariffs and then just the ongoing controversy. It is just unfortunate. When the Switch 1 launched, it was just a good thing. It was just something that we could enjoy. It was just a thing that was fun. There were annoying and disappointing things about it, because Nintendo has always done a lot of really annoying and disappointing things, but everybody still just kind of came together and had a great time. And, you know, that is not being replicated here with the Switch 2, at least based on my experience. And like, you know, it's partially the ongoing controversies and all the price stuff. Like, there's so much more pressure on all of us right now, on the entire world. So, like, that is creating a lot of extra feelings about all of this. And there wasn't as much of that pressure back then. So that, like, definitely helps. But then it was also, like, the Switch was kind of the big comeback for Nintendo, the big return to form. You had a lot of people who hadn't cared about Nintendo for a long time, or maybe even ever. And now, like, they were back and everybody was back, and it was a really great time. The Switch 2, just as a concept, is not as exciting. It's not this big, crazy, new lightning in a bottle kind of thing. So I think if you mix it all together, you've got the controversy kind of making the whole topic just a good deal less fun to talk about, at least online. You have the fact that it's a Switch 2. It's cool. It's great. I want to play the games on it, but, like, you know, it's just not going to be as exciting as the original Switch. That's fine. It is what it is. And then I just have less friends and less time to hang out with them and play video games with them. So, like, so far, my time with my Switch 2 has been a disappointingly solitary experience. You know, I moved away from California, left my best Switch bros back there. What was I thinking? You know, the Palooza Cruiser, we all had a lot of fun. So I haven't really had that experience, you know, like a Mario Kart came out and I didn't, like, really get to, like, play with anyone. I played it myself, and I guess I played online, did the review. So yeah, like, that element, that just, like, fun newness factor of just, like, having the new thing and hanging out with people with the new thing, that hasn't really happened. So, like, yeah, it is a little disappointing. It really does just kind of, like, solidify the Switch 2 as just like, well, you know, it's a cool thing. It plays games. I'm looking forward to the games that I'm gonna play on it, rather than, you know, back when the original was like this big cultural thing. So yeah, that is a little disappointing, but to get to the experience with the console itself, I have been really trying to play a lot more handheld. You know, like, for the last few years of the Switch generation, I really didn't play handheld much at all. But I've been finding myself reaching for my Switch 2 a lot more often. And there's at least a part of that that's because I'm like, oh, well, anyway, I gotta try it out. I gotta see what it's like. But then I think that's just kind of getting me back in the habit, because I'm finding myself reaching for it more for, like, you know, the reasons you're supposed to, where you just want to keep playing your game, but you don't want to be tied to the TV. You know, I want to, like, take it to the bed or whatever. So that has been nice. It's been really fun, kind of like remembering, like, oh, you really can just kind of pick it up. Just kind of keep playing the game. And I wondered if I would be less likely to want to play handheld, because now, like, the resolution bumps are awesome. And I will mention that here, like, just the overall power of the Switch 2. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I think I never really anticipated that they would want to go above 1080p with the Switch 2. It just, I don't know, like, I thought they would focus on other aspects of performance and graphics and things, But I'm really pleased that they have really boosted up those resolutions in a lot of cases. Not like native 4K, but just, you know, like 1440p, like a little bit above 1080p, and then that DLSS upscaling. It's really doing its job, and I am pleased as punch about this. This is image clarity that I never would have anticipated from the Switch 2. Between the, you know, slightly higher than 1080p resolution combined with the upscaling, just looks great. Like it's hard for me to tell that I'm not looking at a native 4K image sometimes. It's just fantastic. And of course it's not that way in like every case. You know, in a lot of games we'll still use like dynamic resolution scaling, and in games like DK Bonanza where there's just like so much going on, yeah, things can get pretty like jaggy sometimes, which is a little bit of a bummer. But like in so many cases, it just looks so good. Yeah, you know, Kirby Air Riders and Metroid Prime 4. It's just so incredibly crisp, and that might be like my favorite thing about the Switch 2 so far, is just nice high resolutions. That was the thing that bugged me the most about the original. It wasn't the frame rate. The frame rate was a thing, but to me it was that image clarity, and we have it here in most cases, and I think it's really great. And so to get back to my original point, I was a little afraid that because of that, because these games look so good on my big 4K TV, I was afraid that, like, well, now I'm never gonna play handheld. Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to play on that little screen? But no, I'm pleasantly surprised there as well. The screen is a good bit bigger than the original Switches, and it is 1080p instead of 720p. So like any game that is rendering at native 1080p, or, you know, filling in the gaps with some anti-aliasing or a DLSS upscaling, it just looks great. It just looks really, really great on that screen. The screen still looks big enough that it feels substantial. It feels like I'm not playing on a tiny little handheld screen, especially when I, you know, hold it close enough to my face. It's fairly comparable to the TV experience, and yet the image just still looks really nice. It still looks really nice and clear. I don't really feel like I'm missing out on too much. If I'm missing out on anything, it's just the smoothness, you know, and I already did a whole video on this about how they kind of cheaped out on the display. It's got like a really weirdly low refresh rate or something. So even if the screen can technically handle these higher frame rates, it just, like, the image itself refreshing on the screen, you get this like ghosting effect. And like, you know, it really depends on the game, and it depends on what you're doing with the camera, and I do maintain that I usually get used to it most of the time. It doesn't take too long before I start to just not really notice, and that thing in my brain that reminds me I'm playing a handheld, there's gonna be some compromises, that kind of kicks in, you know. But still, there are times when I'll be playing a game and I'll just like swing the camera and I'll be like, yeah, that looks bad. There's like such ghosting. Like just the other day, I was like playing Pokemon, and it looked really, really ghosty. And so I swung the camera and I took a picture with my phone. And it's like I said in the video, like you have to like capture the screen from another source. But like I took a picture with my phone and I could count 5 or 6 ghost images. I'm not kidding. I want to say there were at least 5 images, all just kind of laid on top of each other because the screen has such a hard time keeping up. So yeah, it hasn't been a massive impact on the experience, but it is a thing. It is a thing to contend with and just kind of accept, I guess. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy playing on handheld. Another slight issue though is how it feels in the hands. And it's funny because like a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people talking about how if something is too small, it like hurts their hands. A controller's too small, or like the original Switch, you know, people would be like, no, I gotta get the big grips because holding the system by itself, it would hurt my hands after too long. And I never had this problem. Like I even had an original model 3DS. They're so tiny, they're microscopic, and yet I played exclusively on that, and I never had a problem. And I've got decently meaty hands. I don't know if you've noticed. They're pretty big, and yet it's been fine. And yeah, the original Switch. Like if I played a long time, obviously, like the fingers that curl behind on the back, they would start to hurt after a while. And so going into the Switch 2, you know, I could immediately tell it was a lot more comfortable to hold. The system is bigger. The Joy-Cons are just a little bit bigger. So my fingers are just, they're a good percent less cramped than they used to be. And yet the weirdest thing happened. I kept playing and I was noticing, you know what, man, my hands are actually cramping faster. Like my fingers are starting to hurt even faster than before. I wonder if it has something to do with the size. Maybe the smaller size was actually better. And that's when I realized, oh no, that's just because the original Switch came out 8 years ago. And, you know, I'm 8 years older than that now. And, my hands just hurt more now. It's just kind of, that whole thing. So, I mean, I can certainly say that I'm thankful that the Switch 2 is more comfortable to hold. It's probably helping a good bit, even though just kind of across the board, I'm noticing like, oh yeah, handheld play. That really is something I've got to do in short bursts. I was playing the Pokemon DLC and I was getting really fed up with it, to be honest. Spoilers for the upcoming review, but I was not having a lot of fun. And I woke up one morning and before I even got out of bed, I just reached over and grabbed my Switch and I just stayed there. And I just I just powered through the rest of it for like 6 or 7 hours. And by the end, yeah, my fingers were aching pretty badly. So that's, you know, that's been a thing. Here's some advice. Hit 30 and stop. Just stop there. That's what I should have done. Oh well. So beyond the handheld playing experience and the image quality, what else have we got? I'm enjoying just the newness and betterness of the Switch 2. That eShop, every single time I boot it up, oh, it is just a pleasure, just an incredible joy how wonderfully it performs. It's everything you could want it to be. It's so lovely. I mean, all of the UI, it's really nice. It's really smooth. It's a lot less laggy. It looks a lot better on the screen. I haven't been able to use game chat a whole lot, but the times that I have, I do think it's cool. I wish more of my friends were into it because I think it's a cool thing. It actually is really just convenient and easy. You literally just hit the button and boom, there you go. You don't even have to get a microphone or a webcam or anything. So that is pretty cool. That is something that I want to use more in the future. I am still very much enjoying taking off and putting on the Joy-Cons. The magnetism is still absolutely delightful. And if you want to talk about the Joy-Cons, you know, I mentioned when I first unboxed it how they felt like really solid, like almost not budging at all, like a micron. And then, was it a 1 month update? I think I did, where they were moving a little tiny bit more. Still a very small amount, but a little bit more. And now I could be imagining it. It may be a little bit more. I'm not 100% sure. If that's true, then like, I don't like the idea that they would just keep wearing out more and more over time. Like, I mean, we really don't know. That's the thing about a piece of hardware is like, you don't actually know how it's going to hold up until you get it into a person's hands and they use it for years. You know, Nintendo does these like funny stress tests with like the factory robots and they'll open and shut the DS hinges like a million times or whatever. But even that isn't going to give you a perfect, clear picture of how these things are going to hold up. So yeah, it's yet to be seen how the Joy-Cons hold up, just like how solid they feel on the system. I doubt we'll ever get to the point where they're like falling off, but I don't like the idea that they may get to the point where they're kind of wiggly and creaky like the original Switch. I think I'm still feeling pretty hopeful because, yeah, like it's still not moving that much. It still feels way more solid than the original Switch ever did, even when it was brand new. So we're probably okay, but it is something I'm keeping my eye on. And then beyond that, it's just, it's the games. We've had a half a year of Switch 2 and a half a year of Switch 2 games. And, I mean, I think the experience has been kind of all over the place. It's kind of weird. It's almost too much to talk about right here. It's like, in some ways, this is like the perfect first year. We got a new 3D DK, and we got a new Mario Kart, and now right here at the end, Nintendo has just like cruelly, purposefully dumped way too many games on us all at once. But like, yeah, now we've got like Kirby Air Riders turned out really good, and we've got Age of Imprisonment, which is pretty fun. And we've got Pokemon, and we've got Metroid Prime 4. And like on a technical level, Metroid Prime 4, like I thought it was a Switch game. I thought it was a Switch game that would run better on Switch 2. It doesn't feel that way. I've said it before, but like it looks like a Switch 2 game. It looks way too good. So it's like, on paper, there is a lot to play, but there's just like so many little caveats here and there, like Mario Kart World. Oh wow, big Mario Kart game. Oh, but it released in this bare bones state, and they've had to kind of update it over time, and blah, blah, blah. And then Pokemon, it's got its own problems, and you know, even Metroid Prime 4, a lot of people are having problems with it. And so yeah, I don't know. In ways, it feels like a perfect first half a year, probably more games than we could have anticipated. I mean, that many notable games in 6 months? Like, for me, like, even just DK Bonanza alone, that's like a half a year game right there. You know, like if that was the only game that came out in a 6-month period, I'd still be like, you know what? That's better than other 6-month periods I've had, because like that game is that good to me. But then I could still understand how some people may look at this lineup and still not really be convinced, not really be impressed. I don't know. We're not talking about them right now, though. We're talking about me. And as far as me is concerned, the first 6 months, game-wise, have been, I'd say good. I would say good. You know, if not like absolutely perfect. Again, yeah, Mario Kart, kind of disappointing in some ways, and I haven't had a bunch of people to like play with. And then Metroid Prime 4 is disappointing in its own ways, but I don't know. For the most part, that's a lot of good video games to play in a relatively short period of time. So between like Mario Kart and DK and, you know, Kirby and Hyrule Warriors and even Pokemon, like I have played a lot of Switch 2 and I have enjoyed a lot of my time with it. I've been playing games more than usual recently. And actually, you may be wondering why I'm not doing an end of year, like top 10 games video. It's because I really didn't play much this year. Like the games that I played on Switch 2 were just about it. But I mean, really that does kind of illustrate how I have been playing a lot of Switch 2 and I have been enjoying a whole lot of it. So yeah, I don't know. It's been good so far. And yeah, at the very least, there's DK Bonanza, which I think is one of the best games that Nintendo has put out in years and years. Like, it's like, I don't know, it might even be a top 10 Nintendo game. I really do think it is very good. And that alone has been enough to give this whole Switch 2 launch, I don't know, make it a little bit special. Make it a little bit more than just, oh, you know, it's the Switch, but again, and it's going to have some better features, and it's going to have some games. You know, at the very least, DK was like, oh no, this is one of those gaming experiences, you know? So those are my thoughts after half a year of having a Switch 2. We will see how things continue to go. We'll see how my hands continue to hold up. We'll see what games they release next year. If you've been playing Switch 2 yourself, I would love to hear what you've been thinking about it, and especially all these things that I have mentioned down in the comments. Are you also getting old and just slowly losing your ability to play handheld games at all? Please let me know. I don't know why that'll help me feel better, but I think it will, at least a little bit.